All right, welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be doing Chapter 7, which is Social, Mobile, and Local Marketing. We'll hit on this chapter, and then the next chapter is going to be on ethical, social, and political issues. And there will be in addition to my normal lecture on Chapter 8, there will actually be a supplemental video from another class that I already recorded around privacy law, which is very important, internet law as well. So privacy and internet law, it will be a separate video. I will post the link to that in the syllabus, and I will also put it into the playlist for this class. Okay? And then it will get posted in UJ as well. So, all right, let's talk about social, mobile, and local marketing first then. So we've had this over the last 13 years or so. We've had this huge amount of change in the way that we consume information, as well as the way that we conduct commerce and just in our lives. And I'm talking about our mobile phones, but also the social media platforms that many people use, not everybody, but many people use, as well as this shift towards localized services that we can consume. Okay? So think about the last time you were able to place an order through a mobile app and purchase food from your favorite local restaurant. Okay? That was unheard of not too long ago. So let's first talk about online ad spending and where that shift has happened. So, in the beginning days of the internet, which we've been talking about for a while now, that spend was entirely on desktop and laptop computers. You would get that advertising from those platforms. Then in 2007, Apple released the iPhone. Okay, sorry, it was either 2000 or 2007 or 2008. I forget which now. Anyhow, around that time, Apple launched the iPhone and introduced the smartphone to the public. The smartphone existed before Apple. There were plenty of Windows smartphones before that point. They just weren't very usable and they never really took off in massive numbers. So advertising wasn't targeted at those devices. When you saw that the iPhone come out, hugely popular, took off, okay, now you've got a platform where you could do advertising to it. People were using it pretty pervasively. And then we had Android shortly thereafter come out, and that continued to drive market adoption. So within a few years, we started seeing advertising on that mobile platform really starting to grow. And so by about 2014, 2015, we see a rapid shift from desktop and laptop based ads to mobile based ads. Okay. And so as a percentage of the overall advertising market share, mobile is now at above 70%. And desktop and laptop is below 30%. Okay? And we've seen a huge shift over the years with that. Okay? So people are spending more on advertising on mobile than they do on desktop and laptop platforms because we spend more of our time on our mobile devices. We always have it with us. We are walking across the street with our mobile device in front of our faces. I saw a quote yesterday that was not a real quote, but it was funny nonetheless. Of if George Washington were to suddenly appear in today's United States, he wouldn't recognize it, but he would also be questioning why everybody was holding up these rectangular mirrors to their face all the time when they're walking across the street. Social and local media marketing here. They're connected. So we use our mobile devices to consume information. A lot of people use it to consume information from their social networks. Social networking allows us to understand what our friends and family are interested in, and that drives our purchase decisions for some people. it can also drive us to localized businesses for our needs and our wants. Okay? So I can use my mobile device to figure out what businesses are in the area that I'm at that particular moment. And so I can then use that targeted search to find businesses that have been advertised, say on Waze or Yelp or any number of those platforms. All right. Now, we've seen a growth of marketing over the last 4 or 5 years for all of these platforms: social, local, and mobile. Social, obviously, sustaining the lowest level of growth and the smallest market of those three, but still a respectable roughly $40 billion annually on social marketing. On the mobile side, we've seen immense growth in the last few years, and so now we're over $100 billion a year on mobile marketing. And then for localized marketing, we are above 60 million a year. So there's been an enormous growth, and that compares to just 4 years ago, we were at 20 billion for social, 58 billion for mobile, and 60 billion for localized marketing. Okay. Now, social marketing, we're familiar with the Facebooks, the LinkedIn's, Twitters, but there are other platforms as well. So Pinterest, Snapchat, etc. Okay. And so one of the things that we tend to do in an actual business, not with our personal social media, but with our business social medias, we have people whose job is to maintain and manage that social media for us. And they use software to help manage that process. Okay? And the software that we use, one of the packages is called Hootsuite. You may have heard of it. Okay. This allows us to schedule media to be released at the most optimum parts of the day. Okay, so if I know that eyeballs are watching the screen at 10:49 p.m. consistently, I don't have to have someone standing by a keyboard ready to post that media at 10:59 p.m. That information can be scheduled using software like Hootsuite. Okay? And so with social marketing, we have multiple steps for doing social marketing. We are trying to acquire fans. Then we want to be able to engage with those people. Then we want to amplify our message, then build community, and that grows the strength of our brand, which grows sales. Okay? All right. In addition to the normal social marketing that we're familiar with, we also have something called dark social. And this is when we share socially with our friends on other tools that are not the major social media platforms. And I'll give you an example of that. Obviously, the book mentions email, IM, text, and mobile messaging apps. But a prime example of that would be like Telegram. I have a group of friends who are constantly sharing things, and they're sharing it through Telegram. And it's a private system, so it's not like anybody else outside of our circle would ever see what they're sharing. But I have a friend who's really big on Bitcoin, and so he's constantly sharing things on there related to Bitcoin. So it's another mechanism for getting your message across, and you have no control over that. Fan acquisition, we want to acquire people by attracting them to our marketing messages. With engagement, we want to encourage our visitors to interact with our content and brand. So we really want to create as much good quality content as we can. If we're just creating a bunch of crap, then we actually drive users away. We have the opposite effect. But if we actually have engaging content that's interesting, we bring people to our brand. And I'll actually use a good example of this from LinkedIn. So I'm acquainted with this person who does resumes. And they never post anything related to resumes on their LinkedIn. They post engaging content about that's basically stories about their customers, not using people's real names and whatnot, family stories, just funny things that happen, and they do tend to recycle the same stories over and over. But it's engaging, and it gets people talking and engaging in their post in ways that they wouldn't if they were just talking about resumes. But that's their business, is resumes. So sometimes with social marketing, you actually have to get pretty creative at how you actually get people to be engaged with the content. Okay? You want people clicking on it, but you don't just want people clicking on it, you want them resharing it. You want them not just liking it, you want them actually commenting on the content with their own stories. But the way social marketing works is you don't necessarily get more engagement by just doing likes and just resharing content, in a simple manner like that. It needs to have people actually doing direct engagement, commenting on it, tagging others, that sort of thing, in order to be really effective. Okay. Amplification. So when you're sharing content, you don't want to keep that locked down. You want to encourage people to share it with others. So you make it public. You tell everybody to share. Maybe you incentivize people sharing. If you share this post and you like it, comment in the comments, and I'll send you a coupon for 5% off your next purchase or whatever. Right? If you do that sort of thing, people are more likely to see your message because you're amplifying it across the social network. Now, building a community. You want to have a stable group of fans who are engaged and communicate with each other over time. And so a great example of this was the 3D printer that I bought, excuse me. They created a Facebook page. It was actually the only way to get support for them is to use their Facebook page. Great. But they've built this engaging platform for people to go talk about their printer, and that also allows them to bring in people who are interested in printing who haven't used a printer before and are interested in the platform, and they can learn about that product and the new products that are being released. Now, Facebook marketing. So I think most people still have a Facebook page, maybe not. I just recently got one again, but I hadn't had one for years. Again, because my stupid printer is the only way to get support. But there are also people who spend all of their time on Facebook. And I know of people like this. Not anybody that I hang out with is like that, but I know of some people who do nothing but hang out on Facebook all day. They don't have a job. They don't do anything. They have no responsibilities. They just sit on Facebook all the time and comment on posts. Okay. You can try to target the casual Facebook user. You can try to target the power users who spend all their time on Facebook. If you're trying to grow your audience, there are people with tons of friends who, and I should say in air quotes, friends. A lot of times these are people that you've never met, you don't know, you just happen to connect with on Facebook for whatever reason. Okay. You can try to target your marketing to either one of these, right, or a mixture. Social density. That's when we have. We are identifying the number of interactions among people in a group and how connected the group is. Okay. We can have reaction buttons. So the like button, for example, we can share our feelings, since in an an electronic format, it's difficult for us to share our emotions. Okay. We can have brand pages for our brand. Right. I'm not going to go into all the Facebook features. That seems redundant. Most of us know what Facebook's like. If you're interested in that, though, you can go through the book on page 439 of the 2019 edition. Okay, we'll move on, though. All right, Facebook has an exchange for marketing their ads. So you can target your ads based on personal information that's been shared, okay, and then provided by Facebook. Like I said, you can use things like Hootsuite to manage your social media campaigns across platforms, the major social networks. Twitter. So Twitter is a much more limited way of interacting with people because you are limited in character size. It used to be 140 characters. I think that's been doubled to 280, but still, it's not very many characters. Okay. Um, it's got a lot of users. It doesn't have, in the grand scheme of things, relative to other platforms, it doesn't have a ton of revenue. It's a couple $1 billion, right? But in terms of revenue, it's not a huge amount compared to some other platforms. It's basically a text messaging service, and I have a Twitter account. I have only a handful of followers, which is totally fine with me. I mostly use it for work related posts where I reshare things for more visibility. Um, but I also use it right now for political things. Okay. Um, you can advertise on Twitter, and you can advertise in a traditional sense on Twitter. But what is also very popular are sponsored posts where you're sharing something with your audience and getting paid to do so. So um, that can be another avenue for you to publicize your e-commerce presence. Okay. Again, I'm not going to go through the features of Twitter. That's on page 449. Okay. And so you can look into that. Pinterest. Now, so Pinterest is a little bit interesting. Pinterest is a photo share, like a image sharing platform based on things of interest to you and websites and things like that. Um, it's all image based. And so Pinterest can be very useful in certain aspects. So where I see people using Pinterest is holiday planning, for example, wedding planning, remodeling. Okay? This is a great way to market to people who are doing those sorts of things. If I just want to go out and buy something, it's probably not the best way for me to market to people, because people generally look at pictures when they want to buy something. Right? Those features of Pinterest are on 455 if you're interested in the details. Okay. And then there's other platforms as well. So Instagram, Snapchat, and LinkedIn. So Instagram, it's a photo sharing site. I mean, that's really what it is. Okay. So you can market to people there. People have large followers, etc. LinkedIn is a business networking site primarily, also used for recruiting. So if you're trying to hire someone, it's a place where you can market there. My word of advice is be very cautious with LinkedIn in terms of marketing on the site is totally fine, but where I say be careful is a lot of LinkedIn users are pretty sensitive to unsolicited direct contact using the InMail feature. The fastest way to piss someone off is to send them an unsolicited marketing message over InMail and be too spammy or salesy. It just happened to me the other day. Someone was a mutual connection, asked to be connected. I looked at their profile. I didn't know the person, but I saw potential, opportunities down the road for either one of us because of, their background and who they were connected to. So I trusted that the high-level connections who were connected to them would have used discretion in connecting with this person. But almost immediately after getting connected, within like 10 minutes, this person was spamming me, wanting to talk on the phone and talk about how we could work together. I saw no opportunity to work together right now, and quite frankly, it came across as too salesy. So I just ignored the message. Okay. you've got to be careful with it because now that person's business actually is tainted in my view. Okay. Um, Social marketing downside. So one of the problems with it is you can lose control over the message of your brand. Okay. So it can backfire. So if I post content and first of all, people can post on there and bash my brand, which happens a lot. But also, let's just say my ad was placed next to something else. Okay, like say I am let's just say I'm Apple and I'm advertising the new iPhone, and for whatever reason my iPhone ad ends up sitting next to the content from, I don't know, some hate group or something, okay, on social media. It could be perceived that that Apple is sponsoring that content because it's sitting right next to it on a page. So there's a huge risk with that. The other thing is if someone takes the content, screenshots it and posts it, and then it becomes viral, your ad is sitting next to this content that is inflammatory. Okay, so that's a risk of social media. Mobile marketing, so we can use all sorts of techniques with mobile marketing. We can have banner ads, media that's rich, video, you can have games, text messaging, etc. We can even have things like QR codes. I walk into a store or I'm walking past a bus stop, there's a QR code for something, I can scan it and get more information. Okay? It's considerably changed over the last few years, and as I mentioned earlier, significantly grown. In addition, mobile commerce has grown substantially. So it was hardly anything in 2017, and today it's almost to the point where it's eclipsing desktop and laptop commerce. Okay. All right. How do we use our mobile devices? Well, we've been using them quite a bit for just day-to-day interactions with people, purchasing things now. We do through mobile devices. I bought some things from Apple last night through the mobile device. Even though my wife had it up on her computer, it was just easier to do it on the mobile device. That data is being tracked. So the next time this book gets printed, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a significant increase in mobile commerce, especially with COVID going on right now. Okay? We can have in-app experiences. So even when we're out in the real world, we walk into, say, an Apple store. The Apple Store app pops up, allows us to do our shopping right there, check out. So we can go browse, take something off the shelf, scan it, check out, never see a person. Okay. Multi-screen environments. So most of us have our phone out when we're watching TV, so we can have interaction with what's on the TV. We can also purchase something immediately. So I don't watch TV with a lot of commercials because I don't have cable or anything. But I was watching something on, I don't remember what app it was, but it was an app that you can't turn off the ads on. And so something was on there about low fares. And so I immediately was on my phone looking at the fares, and I probably wouldn't have gone there if not for it being on the TV and me having my phone nearby. Okay. Mobile spending for marketing has gone up substantially, as I mentioned. So up now to almost 120 billion. 3 years ago, it was at less than 60 billion. In terms of mobile marketing, Google is at 23 billion, Facebook at 15 billion, Instagram at 6 billion, Amazon at 1.5 billion, Twitter at 1 billion, and then other at about 29 billion. We have a lot of different features in our mobile devices these days, and they just keep growing. So, my wife just got a new phone last night, and it has features that apparently weren't in the phones before. Things like LiDAR scanners and stuff. I didn't even really know what it would be used for, but it's in her phone now. Mobile ad spending by format. It's the biggest portion is on search, 36.5 billion. I think we've talked about that before. Banner and rich media ads, that's 23 billion. Video, 13 billion, and then smaller amounts in other areas. Okay. Mobile marketing campaigns. Generally, we would use some sort of software for this, but a lot of different unique ways. So, an example, and I actually usually use this in BUS101, is the IKEA Place app. So IKEA's developed an app that allows you to place furniture in your home so you can see what it looks like. It's kind of cool. But it also has capabilities for their catalog, if you get their paper catalog, where you can see things in augmented reality. Okay. There was another app, Amazon has a similar feature where you can place an item in your room if it's furniture or something. So this shelf that you see behind me over here was something I got from Amazon, and I bought it because I could see it in the app. So I literally looked at it in the app. It said place it in your room. I did. I moved it around, decided that I liked how it looked, and went ahead and purchased it. Okay. And that all stemmed from when I was in the app, I was looking for something else, and it said, hey, we saw you were on, what app was I on? It was on a Target app or something, and I was looking at furniture, and then I was in my web browser looking at Cost Plus at furniture, and so it then recommended that to me. Okay. McDonald's. Burger King's got similar things too now, but McDonald's has like a fry defender feature. Okay? And so if you set your phone up to look at your fries, if someone tries to go near your fries, it can set off an alarm. These are gimmicks, but they can be effective. I think Burger King's got one right now that if you take your Burger King app and you go to an abandoned one of certain abandoned restaurants like McDonald's and Wendy's and something else, you get a free Whopper by showing up and checking in with your mobile app near the old restaurant that went out of business. Okay. All right. Location-based marketing. So Google Maps really brought this about. Before that point, most marketing for local businesses was non-digital. Newspapers, radio, TV, yellow pages, etc. Okay. Before that point, we had things like MapQuest. So we did have online mapping. But with MapQuest, you went to MapQuest, typed in your route, and then you printed the pages or you sent them to your phone. It was pretty rudimentary. It was like a PDF that went to your phone. After Google Maps took off, and then Apple Maps and Waze and other things, we started seeing hyper-local advertising in these apps. Okay. We also started seeing things like Yelp advertising for businesses. Okay. So now we have the ability to do marketing in that regard. We also have location-based advertising. So if, and this is an example of using location, if I'm near, I think it's Walgreens, the Walgreens app pops up and says, hey, here's a coupon if you want to come in here right now, and by the way, we can fill your prescription for you. When I go near Lowe's, the Lowe's app pops up, and it reminds me that, hey, maybe I want to go shopping there, right? So being able to use location is very powerful from a marketing perspective. What else? I think that does it for this chapter. So as a reminder, next week's lecture will be posted this upcoming weekend, and there will be a supplemental material that I will post a link to and also post the video out on UJA. Okay, so there'll be 2 videos for this week, one for Chapter 8, one which will be specific to privacy and internet law.